Verstappen's return to the top step of the podium at Monza, ahead of McLaren rivals Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, looked to be a turning point for Red Bull this season, as the team found something in their setup that just made their car click. Any chance of a challenge for the World Drivers' Championship is still incredibly slim though. Instead, Verstappen is looking to his and F1's future. He has long been a critic of the current cars, and has now shared his opinion on what the next generation of car will be like, ahead of his debut in another series that could be where his future lies. Today, I'll check out what Verstappen thinks the future of F1 should be, and talk about his debut race at the Green Hell. So, don't go anywhere. Red Bull has had a tough 12 months. The last time Max Verstappen won back-to-back races was at round 9 and 10 of last season in Canada and Spain. His back-to-back podiums at the Dutch and Italian Grand Prix over the past 2 weekends was the first time he's managed that feat since rounds 18 and 19 of last year in Singapore and the USA. By Red Bull standards under these regulations, it has been a very dry spell for the team that built the most dominant car ever seen in Formula 1 just 24 months ago. However, Max Verstappen's third victory of the season moved them closer to matching the victory total of rivals Mercedes. While Ferrari and McLaren lie well ahead with over 200 wins each, Mercedes holds third place on the all-time winners table with 130 Grand Prix victories. Verstappen delivered Red Bull's 125th last weekend. Red Bull have started more races than Mercedes, including Mercedes' original stint in the championship in 1954 and 55, so their winning rate is quite a bit lower, 30.6% to 39%. But at their current rate, Red Bull are likely to claim bragging rights for total wins by the end of next year, if not sooner. Considering how dominant the Mercedes car was from 2014 to 2020, that is an impressive return by the Red Bull team. Max, of course, is responsible for well over half of them. He scored the 66th victory of his career on Sunday, having taken pole position for the 45th time. The 27-year-old has been borderline unstoppable when Red Bull have given him a car that can compete at the top of the sport. He's always said he would have achieved everything he wanted in the sport after just winning one World Championship, but now he has 4. With Red Bull's performance declining, serious questions about how they'll cope with their first ever engine build next season, and Verstappen unhappy about the current cars, it is uncertain whether the 4-time champion will even continue in the sport beyond the end of his Red Bull contract, despite being almost 20 years younger than F1's oldest driver, Fernando Alonso. A big part of Verstappen's problems with Formula 1 is the direction the technical regulations have gone. The 2026 campaign will introduce widespread changes to the chassis and power unit regulations, including smaller cars, active aerodynamics, and a 50-50 combustion electrical split of the engines. This comes after F1 cars have become much bigger through the years, resulting in much more difficult overtaking and less close racing, which is something the regulation switch aims to overcome. Verstappen hopes F1 takes inspiration from what it had approximately 15 years ago, when engines were naturally aspirated V8s and cars were around 180 kilograms lighter. "What is most important is lighter cars, smaller cars," said the 4-time world champion. But you can only really do that if you change the engine regulations. At the moment, the engines are super efficient, but they're also quite big. That makes the car longer, you need more cooling, so the car becomes quite big. I think if we can get a similar type of car like they were in the 2010 era, or even before, that would be nice, because I think it'll help the racing. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one deciding. Discussions over the future of Formula 1 have become a battleground in recent years, specifically what the engine should look like. Verstappen is right. The engines are absolute monstrosities that dictate so much about the car's size and weight. The problem is, that's just the reality of using a hybrid engine, and unfortunately, without the hybridization, you lose the engine manufacturers, and it is the engine manufacturers that make F1 stand out from other series around the world. Verstappen's own team are pairing with Ford for next season to create their very own engine, but expectations for the team are very low. He's only committed to Red Bull for one more season, despite having a contract for 2, and the uncertainty over the team's new engine could be a part of that. Verstappen refused to get drawn into placing expectations on Red Bull, as there remains many unknowns surrounding the pecking order for next season. It's a big question mark, but honestly, I think there are not many people that can say right now, "Yes, we're going to be really good," he added. you don't have any guarantees. I know it's a big challenge, what we're doing, with also bringing our own engine, but it's also quite an exciting challenge. While Verstappen's one-year commitment to Red Bull has been seen as him waiting to see what the competitive order is like in 2026, and then choosing a team to move to when he knows who has the best engine, it could also be giving him the chance to try the new cars, and if he dislikes them, then a move away from F1 could be on the cards. Before I talk about that though, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis on Formula 1, then make sure to press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. Whenever Verstappen turns up to the Red Bull ring, thousands of supporters turn out to fill the stands with orange in support of the Dutch driver. But this weekend, it'll be another ring that the Orange Army will descend upon. Just a week after his victory at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, Verstappen will be back behind the wheel, even though there's no Formula 1 race. Instead, the Red Bull star will fulfill a long-held dream in the Eifel Mountains, competing in an official round of the NURBURGRING Endurance Series. Helmut Marko remarked in Italy that Verstappen was so focused on F1, he wasn't even talking about GT, but after a testing session when Verstappen drove as Franz Hermann months ago, this has been on the cards for Max for quite some time. This Saturday and Sunday, the Nürburgring Nordschleife will host NLS rounds 7 and 8, with each race lasting 4 hours, and Verstappen will be there competing. Before racing though, Verstappen will have to sit through a training course on Friday followed by an exam to earn his entry-level B permit. With that, he'll be allowed to race in a Category B car, which for Saturday's race will be a Porsche Cayman GT4 CS run by the Lion Speed team. To run in an A-class car though, the top class for the NLS series, Verstappen must get his A permit. To do that, he needs to record at least 2 classified race results covering a minimum of 14 race laps in total. For a normal driver, meaning not a 4-time world champion backed by Red Bull, that would mean racing in the Porsche Cayman GT4 car on Sunday as well. However, Verstappen is not normal. One Saturday race could be enough for him to line up on Sunday in the Ferrari 296 GT3 of Swiss squad Emil Frey Racing, the car he drove during the famous Franz Hermann test drive earlier this year. That's because an individual case assessment by the DPN decision panel is possible under DMSB licensing rules, the body which governs racing at the ring. That could apply if Verstappen races 2 different cars on Saturday. For FIA Platinum-rated drivers such as Verstappen, the recognition of a double star is possible. In other words, if the F1 champion is entered twice for the same race, that could already suffice for the A permit. That would mean running one stint for one team, then heading to a different garage to step into another car for a second stint, essentially entering the race twice for 2 different teams. The fact that Red Bull are allowing Verstappen to step away from his F1 duties for a week to race in another series is surprising, but it is the kind of freedom you earn as a driver who's done as much for his team as Verstappen has. If Max crashes badly and is injured, it would be a nightmare for Red Bull, but Helmut Marko isn't worried about Verstappen risking injuries. He sees the positives of his Nürburgring adventure. At a time when our Formula 1 car wasn't running properly, he was there with great enthusiasm. It was an important distraction for his well-being. The NLS races are normally streamed live on YouTube with commentary, and both Saturday and Sunday's races start at midday local time. So if you want to see if the 4-time world champion is as good as all the Nürburgring regulars claim he is in that practice session a few months ago, then you can watch it for free, and he's bound to be the center of attention on the coverage. Do you agree with Verstappen on what the future of F1's technical regulations should be? And is the NLS series going to be where you get your racing fix this weekend? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.